Hello everybody, welcome back. Here we are at week 4 of these adventures. So each week I am going through this wine data set that I found on Kaggle. So I'm pretty much, the time that I work on this article is pretty much on these sessions. So it's a great opportunity for you to have a copy of that data and have a go with some of the queries that we're writing, or some of the sort of data wrangling that we're doing. So it's a great opportunity to sort of step in and do it along with me. And then what I do is, sometimes things don't run to plan, so maybe there's a couple of bugs or bloopers, and last week was a great example of this. So what I do is I go away and write all of this stuff up. So you've still got a bit of a moment if you want to join along and have a go at doing this code. You can do this if you've got an Neo4j desktop up and running. You can load the data from weeks 1 to 3, so you've got the link there to the repo. So that's just a short link to get to my repository where I'm storing all of the things. And then what you'll find on there is I write everything up, so you can basically see what we've done each week. So you get an iteration, so you can always catch up and do things. So what I'm going to quickly do, actually let's sort of say what the plan is for this week. So this week, what the plan is, so last week we were trying to extract years out of wine titles. So for those of you who have just tuned in and this is new, we've got some wine data, and what's happened is we have wine titles, we have what wineries they came from, what countries they're based in, and so forth, but we don't have wine year, and the wine year is part of the wine title. So what we were trying to do last week was thinking about how do we refactor our data model so that we can include the wine year and then the wine title without the year. And so we did that, so we figured out the model, and I've had a bit of a change of heart, so I'm going to show you what I've changed from last week. And the other thing we're doing as well is we then tried to figure out how can we extract the year from the text. And I was going through this whilst I was doing the write-up, and I discovered that there was a slight flaw to my thinking about how we could do this. So this week we're going to try and fix that. So let's jump in and let me show you what I mean so it makes a bit more sense. So week 3, that's what we did last week, and we had a couple of fun things. So let's start with the tip of the week that I put in there. For those of you who are watching last week, you may have noticed that I ran a query to extract the years, or the titles without the years, and the query was just running for ages, and it took something like 72 minutes to complete. So obviously I stopped the stream and then I just left my laptop to it to do what it needed to do. And I was a bit suspicious of this because I thought, hang on, this shouldn't be taking this long. This should be taking seconds. Maybe I underestimated the number of relationships and so forth. Yeah, it turns out I'd set indexes, and this is what you do. So you always, when you're going to be using merge and things like that, I heartily recommend that you set constraints or indexes on your node labels for a property that you know is going to be something that uniquely describes that node. And the reason why you do this, so whilst Neo4j is an index-free adjacency, so that's how we quickly get the results. So we don't, when we're trying to understand how 2 or 3 nodes are connected to each other, we're not doing an index lookup for every single node. When we've got our start node, we literally just go and look for the relationships, and we traverse the relationships because we store the relationships as well as the nodes. So we don't need to do this index lookup that you would do if you were using a relational database. However, to speed up how we locate the first initial node before we start travelling down the relationships, what we want to do is to try and make that as fast as possible. And this is where we do use an index, and it makes sense if you think about it, because it makes sense to use an index lookup to find that start node rather than trying to scan the entire database. And what happened last week, I had my merge command that I had in there, and I was using apoc periodic iterate to, or periodic commit to load that data. But what had happened, and let me quickly show you, I'd set some indexes. So I'd set some indexes. Here we are. So this create index on wine group and create index on year, but I accidentally used a label of wine title with title, so I didn't have an index for that. So basically that command was running and it was doing a lookup every single time, and that's why it was slow. And when I ran it with indexes, and I spotted it when I was writing up, I thought, oh no, that's what happened. Like 4 seconds. 4 seconds. From like 72 minutes to 4 seconds. This is why it is really important to think about, especially if you've got things like uniqueness in your nodes and you're going to have loads of them, set indexes. So no, apart from that blooper, that was a bit of a blush. You know, it catches out the best of us sometimes. But let's just quickly sort of see what happened. So we talked about what we would do and how might we represent wine and sort of. So wine, this is the wine with the title, and you can see we've got the year in here. And this is a fictitious example of a wine. And we sort of thought, well, let's pull wine groups. So this will be the title without the year. So, and the idea of a wine group is that a wine of a certain wine, there may be many years of it. So, you know, it could be like ABC Estate Shiraz 2015, 2016, 2017. And then we can just, you know, map the years of that. And then have the years come off the wine group. So if we took that model and then add, you know, sort of that worked example, and then added it to a model and iterated it, we'd have something looking like this. You've got wine, and then it's got in wine group, and then has year. And then I went away and I thought about this, and I just thought, I don't like it. And I'm probably going to change my mind again. But I thought it probably made more sense if we think about the kinds of questions we might ask. So we might ask about wines that came from which wines came from a certain year, or which wines belong to a wine group, or maybe we want to do some kind of comparison of wines that had a favourable rating, and that could be based on year. And I thought maybe it makes more sense if we have it like this. So we have year coming off of wine, and we have wine group coming off of wine. So that's what I've done, and the queries that are in here reflect that change. So that's what's happened. So, you know, I was really excited when I thought, excellent, we're going to use APOC text replace. Here's the regular expression pattern that we're going to use to replace. And what we're doing here is we're basically trying to find the thing we're trying to get rid of, and then we're going to replace it with nothing. So I was very excited about it. I thought, this is brilliant, this is going to work. I did this on some test data, and as you can see here in the screen, that it worked great. You know, it's fantastic. You know, it's doing what we want. It's getting rid of the year. It's given us that, you know, the expected result that we wanted, and then it had this really convoluted regular expression for trying to get rid of everything but the year. Want to keep the year. And again, you know, I've written it out. If you know, when you're going through this, if you've got a more elegant way of doing this, it'd be great to know. Like, it's surprisingly hard to think, how do you just retain 4 digits that sit next to each other? Anyway, so did this, and again sort of thought, success, look, it's doing what we want to do. So off we went, set the indexes. Don't worry, I have checked these match with the queries below. You know, and then we use sort of periodic iterate, and this is although we probably didn't need to do this, it's, you know, to highlight how we can use that function to go away and do this. And then we, you know, did all of this stuff. So we did it for the nodes, and then we sort of connected everything up together with the relationships. Great, happy days. And then I had a look at the years, and I was like, okay, ooh, this isn't good. And this might be a bit small. So let me bring up the years, and you can see what's happening. Because I went in and I thought, well, what number of years are we expecting for this? You know, what would be a reasonable number? I thought, well, you know, it's from a wine catalogue, and, you know, maybe there's some really fancy wine from the 1970s maybe that have been reviewed. But you're probably sitting there thinking, it's probably going to be a span of maybe, I don't know, I think this was from 2016 or something. So, you know, maybe there's going to be 10 or 12 years, because, you know, we were worried about that dense node problem around the year. And I was just thinking, okay. So I just clicked on year, just have a look. And I was like, whoa, okay. This is a problem. What's going on? So then I sort of did a bit of digging around. So let's take this one here. So if I double click on this year to expand out, then we discover some interesting things going on. So for example, this one here, we have lots of numbers. And I don't know what's going on with the regex, and that's fine. So that's today's fun. Today's fun is going to be trying to figure this out. But what we have here is we've got wine titles and they've got like extra dates in them. And it gets even more interesting. So like, let me grab this one as an example, where we've got this G7 2012 7th, and I'm like, whoa, okay, right, back to the drawing board. Let's try and figure this out. There is an example where we have 2 years in this, so this gets interesting. So let me bring back years by order, 4 digits. I'm just going to track it down to 4 digits, and we'll explore this. You'll see what's going on. What do we use? We use size, don't we, these days? Size. And then we get some really interesting things. So we've got like 1010, 1503, 1821. And this is where I start to think, maybe there's some ports in here. Because you don't tend to put years in ports, or certain sort of like cheaper ports. You're not necessarily going to put year in a port. And that's probably what's going on. So let's have a quick look. So I haven't looked at this yet. So let's do this now. So let's say where y dot value. Let's bring back a few of these. So if I do this, let's do value in, and let's say 1010. Oh, US keyboard. 1010, and let's do 1607. Let's pick 1821. That sounds like a good port year, doesn't it? And let's just pick one more. Why not? 1847. And let's bring the wine titles back, and let's return the y.value. So let's bring back some of these, and yeah, as I suspected, we've got, okay, I admit I wasn't expecting the 1010, but here we go. So we've got a port coming back. Oh, we've got Prosecco. So those ones are I struggle to believe that that's a Prosecco from 1607, but you can see what's going on. Oh, we've got sherry as well. So that's what's going on. So this brings quite an interesting question to think about, well, how we're going to handle this, because we're now going to have to create a new node called no year. That's fine. You know, some of these just don't have a year, and that's totally okay. It's an interesting bit of information though, because what it does mean is in the future, when we're further refining and digging out more data, we can start creating like a wine type, you know, so we can have port, we can have Prosecco, that might be some interesting stuff there for us to look at as well. So there's some interesting things, and maybe this is what we can use to help guide us and give us rules where we can kind of say, well, if it hasn't got that helpful tag at the end that says port, again, we'll investigate as we go through the data. Then we can kind of say, well, actually, you know what? If there isn't a 4-digit number next to each other coming out of that data, then we're going to assume that it might be a port or a sherry or something like that, and so forth. So that's interesting. And then again, you know, where we have these years. So this is where we can start to think about, do we use some kind of pragmatism, for example? So what we can say is, well, we know the data that we're looking at is. We know the data that we're looking at is for, you know, sort of wines, and this is more like consumer wines. We're not talking about these like uber expensive $2,000 a bottle, although we can have a quick peek and have a look if we do have any of these uber expensive wines. But you know, these are going to be the kinds of things that you presumably buy from a wine club or from the supermarket or something like that. So we could probably exercise a degree of pragmatism, and we can say, well, you know what, anything that's got a value of below 1950 probably is not going to be like, that's not going to be the wine year. That's probably going to be like some kind of branding. So like we have here with the Proseccos, for example, that may well be some branding. But let's dig that in. Let's have a look at this zoning. Yeah, let's bring back this zoning one. Let's have a quick peek, just out of interest. So I'm just going to return the nodes. Let's return the wine and the year. Let's bring those back, and let's have a quick dig to see what's going on here, because I'm curious. Wine group. Okay, that's our wine group. We know about wine group. So designation. We can do a little bit of research later. But okay, so what's interesting, let's just quickly colour these nodes. For those of you who have not come across this before, we can colour our nodes to make it a bit easier to see what we're looking at. And to do that, you just click on the label. So I'm going to do this, and then I'm just going to pick a colour. So let's just pick some arbitrary. Oh no, I'm going to pick red, you know, because I like red wine. So let's do that. Winery, let's give it a orange. Designation, let's give it a purpley colour. Taster, we can make you green. Variety, let's make you pink. And wine group, let's make you blue. There we go. Right, so it makes it a lot easier, so we can quickly eyeball and see what's going on. So let's see what. Oh, okay. So let's bring back this. So some of these do have years in them. So 2009 sounds completely. Oh, 2009 sounds completely reasonable as a wine year. You've got this Prosecco. So some of these, as you notice here, some of these wines don't even have a year in them at all. So okay, so that's something we need to capture. So I suspect that year, so for the Prosecco, probably is going to be some kind of branding. So I'd be amazed if that's the Prosecco from 1821. Okay, right, so that's the interesting stuff. So the next bit is how we're going to handle this. So we talked about two things that we can do here. So something we need to do is to figure out how we're going to tackle the year. So maybe we need to now pad spaces, and I'm going to also have a look in documentation if there's something a bit more clever. So trying to get the title without the year is probably going to be a bit easy. However, and I'm going to show you the example where we've got 2 years, so we've got to be a bit careful. But I think what we probably want to do is use some pragmatism about how we identify the year. So we're probably going to try and pick a year range. So let's say something like, and we'll check what the highest value is and what the lowest value is, and I figure that. So we're probably going to have a range, and then what we can do is we can kind of cross-check, and if it cross-checks with that range, then great, happy days. If it's got no year, that's fine. We attach it to no year. If it's got 2 years, so let's have an example where we've got 2 years. So let me bring back this and return 4. So you can see what's going on, and then we'll do the same idea. So you can see this, we have this sort of 1000 and 2003, 16, 20, 2016. So again, same idea. Let's bring some of these back. So how many of these do we have? Oh, 346 records. That's a lot. Let's do. Actually, no. Just do this. What we can do? Let's do the same idea. So we can do this. And return YW limit 5. Why not? I'm sure that's plenty. There we go. So you can see what's going on here. So again, we've got this sort of branding thing. So we've got this one, and I'm going to go with saying that the actual year for this wine is going to be 2011 and not 1939. So I think this is all going to be branding, and I suspect if we double click, oh no, there's nothing more on here. If I open this one out, do we have any other wines associated with? So that's the wine group. Like I said, that's where we've removed the year. So you can see we've completely removed the year of those. Variety, that's the grape, that's the taster, the winery. So if we have a look at what else is in the winery, yeah, there we go. See, we've got that. It's always that branding again, that 1939, which is interesting because these two. So this is exactly what we want. So you can see that these are the series for those two. So that's why we're trying to extract out that title, so we can look at the wine years and see what the taste is like. Oh, we haven't added the rating yet, so we'll add that, I think, today as well, so we can compare, because that would be fun to see, like, does he rate the different wines? Oh look, we've got quite a few of these. Look at this. Oh no, that's a slightly different one. Or is it different? Oh, that would be interesting to investigate. We'll have to see if there's some way of how we can cross map those. Did they decide? I know it's Lavinia's. Okay, we shall. Oh no, maybe they're not. I think they're different. But I think these. Ooh. This is going to be a great example of what we're going to do, and we're going to try and do some kind of similarity. So, not maybe in a few weeks' time, but what we can do is we can use an approach that I quite like using, where we tokenize all of the words, and then we sort of join whether join which these nodes have got things together. So let me show you an example here. So you got this one here, and this one, and the difference between those two is this one says en remont, and this one doesn't have the en remont. And I'm curious whether that's a data entry problem, was a bit rebranding, but I suspect those two are probably the same wine from a different year. And I mean, we'll have a look at those approaches, but what we can do is we can tokenize those words, and then we join them together, and we can use similarity algorithms to go away and try and predict based on a threshold whether those are similar. So that was a bit of fun. So that's probably going to be that's going to come in the future, but that's a fun thing to look at. But anyway, let's get back to our problem here. So we have this thing going on. So in this example here, what we'd probably say is, well, we're going to have a year range of, say, I don't know, 1980 to, we'll have a look at a query, 1980 say to 2016 or something. And if it doesn't fit within that bracket, but it's a 4-digit, then we just ignore it and we don't do anything with it. So this is going to be a fun session today, where we figure out how to do that. Okay, so let's go back to this. Let's bring back our. I'm going to do either 4 or. And let's do 4. I suspect that's probably going to be enough, and then we're going to put them in order. You'll notice these are all strings. So what we'll do later is we are going to turn these into integers, but for now we'll leave it as strings. So we have a look through. This is all branding. This is probably all branding. This is probably all branding, and then we start seeing these common years. So we're probably going to get some of these wrong, because we may not always know whether it's year or branding, but we can see we go through this. It goes up to 2017, and then there's a gap. So I reckon 2020 and well, definitely 3030. We're not there yet. I suspect these are branding. I mean, I'd almost say, given that we are in 2020, we're probably not, unless we're seeing like young wines, we're not going to be seeing anything from 2020. So we can ignore that safely. So the top end of our range is going to be 2017, more or less. We'll double check that with the 4 digits. And the bottom end is going to be an interesting one for us to try and judge, because we can see we've got this incremental. So when it's incremental, I'm going, yeah, that makes sense. And it's getting a bit older, thinking, maybe slightly less sense. But let's so we can have a look at these. So if we let's do a range query for these. So let's say we do. So I'm where it stops. Okay, so let's say from 1980, because everything's a year increment, we'll get to 1980. And let's go to, wow, 1919. So 1980 to 1919. Let's do that. Let's bring those back. Just going to swipe that query. Probably doesn't matter, but you know, why not? Value is equal to or greater than. Is it this way around? Greater than or equal to. Ooh, so 1990. And y dot value is less than or equal to 1980, wasn't it? We wanted. Hang on, greater than and less than. Perfect. And I want to return the title, so let's do that as well, from year wine, and I'm going to return title, and I want to order it by title, and yeah, let's order it by title. No, that's year and then title. Okay, right, let's do this. Let's see what happens. Hopefully we're not going to end up with a huge number of... Oh, okay, that's not a huge number of wines at all. That's reassuring. So we're not looking at a huge number. So we've got this one, so I think we can say That's cool. This is exciting. We've got duplicates. I thought we'd clear these. Alright, we'll investigate that in a second. I wasn't expecting to get 2 of those back, so we'll have a peek at that in a second. Let me just bring back the node IDs as well. So let's do this. Let's see what's going on. Okay, so they're obviously not exactly the same, so we'll have to see what's going on there. Okay, but apart from that, this could well be a wine from 1934, maybe. The port, as we know, is very unlikely to be. Well, maybe it is, but that's okay. We'll give it the benefit of the doubt. We can explore that later. You know, if it's not like some crazy price, then we know it's not that. So, okay. So I think these are reasonable. I think we can say these are all years. So let's do the same thing. Let's extend this range to all of the years, because we didn't bring back a crazy number of records, did we? So let's go back to yeah, definitely. I'm pretty certain these are going. Let's do 1821, because I'm just curious now. What comes back? Do 1821. 1821. This is where we return like a crazy number of records now. Okay, 48. That's not bad. Oh yeah, we can rule all of these out. I don't think any of these. I don't think sherry. That might be a Google job. Let's have a quick peek. I am genuinely curious now. Let's have a quick look. Yeah, that's definitely not for £30. That is definitely not. So we can ignore all of these. Prosecco, sparkling. I'm pretty certain none of those are from those years. That's all branding. And it's just that one. So I'm gonna have to do a quick cheeky Google of this one, because I am intrigued. Yeah, there we go. Branding. Oh, it's a sweet wine. Okay, so maybe that we've got the wine grape. So that's maybe what we can do. We can have a look at the wine grape, and if it's a sweet wine, then we can just ignore the years completely. Okay, so I suspect that one again is going to be a sweet wine, because it's that same Montilla Moreles. We could probably ignore that. So I suspect actually we're going to bump the year up quite a lot higher to what we've got at the moment. I'm pretty certain it's not from then, because that's just very cheap. Very cheap indeed. I think we can probably skip that one. Let's keep scrolling through. There's all the ports. We know that's just branding. We're up to 1970. Oh, we've got quite a few of these, haven't we? I don't know what happened there, because we did. No, we did a create, didn't we? So I thought we had removed the duplicates. That's fine. We can sort those out later. That's not a problem. Let's have a quick peek at this. Yeah, it's not that one as well. So that's fine. Oh no. Mate, oh. Ah, that's interesting. Is that a dot? Ah, it's not, it's not important. You know what, let's just, because otherwise we're just gonna spin. So let's just say our range is going to be from 1970 to 2017. I think that's reasonable. So let me just make a quick note of that. Okay, cool. So what we're going to say is anything that doesn't sit in there, we are just going to ignore. Good stuff. Right, okay, so now I've got to try and figure out how we're going to remove those. So first of all, I'm going to drop all of the stuff that I created. So let me just remind ourselves what we're going to do. So what I'm going to do is I am going to get rid of, you can see this in, let's do this. So sometimes if you see it does this and you haven't got a caption on here and you're doing call db.schema, if you click on the node and just press name, then it'll show it. So wine, let's do that again, and name, and year, name, and then we can see what they are. So what we're going to do is I'm going to get rid of this, and there's not many of those, so I can just be lazy and write this. I'm going to do y, year, attach, delete, y, and we're going to do match wine group, W. Right, let's get rid of those. And I'm going to have to figure out how we're going to do it. So let's have a quick look at the regex. So I'm not that great at regex. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to quickly just steal my first little code snippet and then we can just edit it because I'm all about reusing. So let's just take that and let's see what happens if I say, can I just do this? Will that do what I expect it to do? Okay, right, that's a good start. So let's pick that. Ooh, let's pick one of these wines that are a bit weird. Okay, let's do. Oh, I haven't got any in here. Have we got some in here? Oh, there we go. So that one is 56473. Actually, let's just pin this to the top so I can find it easily. So if we say 56473. Quick note, I'm using the internal ID for nodes. Never do anything like this using the internal nodes where you're depending on it on some kind of function or feature, because the internal nodes can change. So I'm just doing it now because it's not then. I mean, it won't have changed because I'm not doing any writing transactions to the database. I'm doing this because, you know, it should be fine, but don't do any processes where you're dependent on the internal IDs because that's not good. Okay, alright, let's see what happens when I try to run this. And almost. So it's removed my spaces. I mean, that's not a deal breaker really. That's fine. I mean, we can try and explore. Is that removing all of the spaces? No, it's just removing those two there. So what happens if I just get rid of one of the spaces? Let's see what happens. Okay, so it works for that one. Now let's have a look at the other crazy one that we. You know what? I shouldn't have deleted those nodes. We could have. It would have made sense to left them there so we can test what's happening. But that's okay. That's all fine. Okay, so I'm going to just take this and let's pick the other funny one where we had 2 years. Did we have it in here? Oh, let's this one with the 7s. So that's 14613. Did I not write the name down correctly? 14613. and curious. Oh, I confused the internal ID with the ID. That's why. No, we're all good. That is exactly what we were expecting to happen because I did not put in the internal ID. So we are 7462. C. Oh, excellent. That's what we want it to do. And we have the 4-year one, so we probably need to now think. So if I do... Oh, how are we going to do this? Find a wine with 2 years. We had one with... Do we still have the query where we had the one with... Oh yes, oh perfect. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cheat slightly here. I'm just going to bring back the wine. How do I do this? Does it contain like this? Well, I'll find out in a second because it will complain. No, it's not like that, is it? Oh no, okay, it is. Okay, perfect, right. So, let's do that. So, let's have a go and let's see what happens. So, where... Okay, yeah, so as we're expecting, it's going to remove those. So what we can do is if we say, oh gosh, you kind of want to do a conditional on the replace, don't you, where you only do, oh actually, because what we can say is we know that this is not, because it's still going to do the thing, because I was thinking we've got the range, but that's no good. Oh gosh, this is going to be a little bit tough to resolve. Oh, easier said than done. Easier said than done, but that's okay. We shall figure it out. Ooh. Because if we were cheating, let's just do the cheaty one, just so we can see what it looks like. And then what we'd say is that this was going to be 2. This would be 0 to 1. And then that could be 0 to 9. No, it can't be 0 to 9. So it can only be 0 to 2000. Yes. So this can only go to 0 to 1. And then this we can say goes up to 9 because it'd be like 2009. So just for entertainment value, let's just see what happens. Okay, so it does get rid of those, but it does mean, because we've got our assumption, then we said it's going to be from 1970, so we're going to have those little, that tricky excuse me, 1971s. So let's do two of those. Let's string two of those together. So this is to handle the 2000s. So let's call this one test 1. And just going to put this on separate lines so it's a bit easy to see what's going on. And I'm going to get rid of that because it will complain. I always do that. And let's copy this. And let's do a 19. So we said it can be from 1970, so this can be 7 to 9. And this can be 0 to 9. Yes, okay. So let's call this test 2. Let's see what happens. Ooh. Okay. So we expect that because we can always do like a condition between those two, and we can just say if this one is shorter than this one, then this is the one with the year eliminated, and vice versa. So I think what we've not tested to see is how prevalent the 1970s thing is. So let's just do that quickly. Let's see if that really is a problem here. I mean, I would love to come up with a nice way of being able to solve this. So, oh my goodness, how are we going to do this? I don't really want to do like all of the figures. I'm just trying to think, how could we do this? Oh, I know what we can do. I've just had a thought. So what we can do is, and this is really hacky, but that's fine. Hacky's fine. So we know this works now for if we've got 3 digits or 2 digits. So it ignores those. It only pulls out if there's a 4-digit year because of that space, which is a bit hacky, but hacky will do. Hacky's good. What I'm going to do is I'm going to run this so that we can find out the length. So if I do this, we're going to match wine title. And let's say with W replace, and now we're going to go back to 0 to 9, 0 to 9, 0 to 9, 0 to 9. And I'm going to, no, we'll keep that. As, let's call it TS, where TS is, I think this is the right way around to do this. Oh, I may have to check if this is correct. Let's see what happens. Ooh, okay. Let's just do this. Really? No, I know what's going wrong because I'm thinking of the year. So what I want to say is, oh, this is going to be so horribly hacky. Size W dot title minus size dot TS equals 8. Oh my gosh, is that even going to run? No. Okay. This is fun. I should have kept those years, that would have been sensible. In fact, you know what I'm going to do? I am going to, because it doesn't take very long to run, so I'm just going to grab a copy of my tester query that I had, because that was actually quite useful, and I'm going to put those bad years back in again, because it allows us to find the funny years. So I'm going to go off and rerun that. Let's go, which is this one here. Create the year nodes. That's what we want. So let's borrow dodgy query. And let's do that. And I'm gonna need to connect it up as well. See, look at that. 4 seconds. That's what it should have taken. I'm just gonna borrow this and just rewrite it a little bit. And I only want this bit. I'm only interested in the wine year. Ooh, let's press backspace. We want to match. Yeah. So get rid of that and get rid of that. Alright, that's what we want. And that should be pretty quick. Brilliant. Right, let's get our dodgy years back. Whoa! How? Whoa! Whoa! This is not right. Why has it created that many nodes? That's not right. Okay, something very bad's gone here, because that should not. We should not have created that many nodes. So I think we've got lots of blank years. That's fine. We're gonna fix that. So let's scratch this. So let's do yeah, attach, delete y. No, we don't need this anymore. We can unpin that. Ah, okay. So it's not gone off and created. Oh, you haven't created a load of empty wines, have you? I'm not sure what's happened there. Let's have a quick peek. What's gone on there? Actually, where not exists. So I have a horrible feeling it may have created a load of wine nodes. The quick way I can do this is because I've not set properties on those, then we should come back with a bunch of, okay, no, it's not happened. So there's no, okay, so that's not happened. So I'm just a bit intrigued. Well, it did say it deleted so many relationships, but I'm just not sure why it created this many nodes. That's something very strange going on there, because we've got 500,000. Why have you got 500,000 nodes? I'm just going to quickly have a look at the size of things that we've got. Let's do this. Match and return count. Oh, labels. And so what I'm going to do is just return back the number of things I've got per label, and then count n. C, order by C descending. Okay, we've got a labelless node and we've got those, so that's fine. We've just now got to carefully extract those out. Let's see what this. Let me have a quick look how to do that. Match notes without labels. Oh, okay, I like that. I will take that. Let's have a quick look to see if that works. Let's do return count, and let's. I don't want to return crazy number of nodes. Okay, brilliant. Let's reuse that. So we're going to do detach, delete, n. Okay, perfect. We are back in business. So if I rerun this, there we go. That's what we're expecting. Okay, so let's do that again. So let's go off and create our years again. So let's just double check this. I'm going to create our crazy years and then merge that. So let's do that. And very quick. And then check what's going on with this query. So match wine with the wine node and, oh no, that's the wrong one. We don't want that. Just quickly scroll through. Just in case. So with y. So with the year, with the wine from year. Let's see what happens. We forgot to carry. Okay, there we go. We are back in business. That's more like it because we shouldn't be creating any nodes and we've got that many wines, so that's more like it. Alright, let's bring back some of those crazy years and see what's happening. So, match year where size y dot value equals 8. So what we're doing is oh yeah, we wanted to get some test data to see about the 1970s. So let's do turn w.title value order by y.value. Okay, we've only got 473, so that's puny number. That's puny number. And you got these things like this. So if we run our test on this, so let me go and grab what we copied. So I want to say this, I want to borrow this bit, that's what we want. So remember what we want to do is we want to do the example where we pick whichever one of these two is the shortest. That's what we want, and the shortest one's going to be our title. And remember we said it's up to the we're going from 1970, so what we want to do is we want to compare the length of test 1 and test 2, so we're only interested, we want to flag where if these two are the same length, it's either because the string doesn't have date, but that's not wrong. So if it's the same date, it means that we've got two dates. We've got a date that is in the 2000s, and we've got a date that's and basically from 1970 onwards. So if we do, can we do this? Is it going to let me do this? Size test 1 is equal to size test. Ooh, is this going to give me a boolean? I'm not sure. I don't think I've done this before. Let's see what happens. If worst case scenario, it will just complain. Okay, fine. Right, so let's do this. Let's do with title test 1, test 2, where okay, this works. We can do this, and then we can say, oops, return w.title. So this is going to return the ones where we have that problem. So let's see. If it returns nothing, then that means all is good with the world. Oopsie, I keep doing that. I like to put my commas everywhere. That's fine. Okay. 923 times the charm. Ooh, okay, we've got a few. But it's only 10 records, so that's not too bad. That's not too bad. I mean, there is a part of me thinking it's only 10 records. Let's just get something in there. But there's a part of me just wanting to fix it. Oh, that's a shame. But it's 10 records. I mean, you know what? I think let's for now, let's run with it. I'm going to just say that this works for now. And then we can at least do the year. Oh, I don't like this. Just trying to think how we can tackle this. We're coming up to the hour as well, which is a shame. I was really hoping we might fix this, but we've identified a test. So we've found if we add the space into our regex, that straight away got rid of all the funny 2-character ones and 3-character ones, and we cheated slightly where we're using the forcing the year, so we know it's going to be between 1970 and 2017, so we can then rule out all the like thousands and 2020 and 3030 and all the other sort of crazy ones that we had. So what we're left with now is just splitting that out. So what I think I'm going to do is we'll leave it there, and I'm going to have a think about how we can adjust that, and then again, as always, I will put the updates in the repository, so you can have a look at what I've done. And again, if you've got any comments or feedback, let me know. But no, it's interesting. So we've got something out of this. So we spotted the problem. We've had to think about how, what it is. So we've diagnosed it, and we've got some business rules. So we've got some business rules around what's a valid year. So if a wine's got 1967 as a year, it's probably not. It's branding. We spotted as well that we have information like if it's a port and things. So that's something we can work on as well. We spotted we've got some duplicates in the data set. So again, that's something we're going to look at about removing. So that's cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the stream now. I'm going to go and have a think about how we can tackle this, and I will write it up in the notes and we can talk about it next week. And then finally we're going to start asking some year-based questions, and if we can check the ratings across different years. So thank you very much for joining me once again. Oh, probably worth mentioning. So obviously you got the address there to the repository if you want to download the data. Just as a quick reminder, so every Saturday, not going to be not on the 20th, so I'm not here on the 20th of June, but the following week, so the 27th of June. We'll continue exploring this, so we'll have something to talk about. I'm going to perhaps do a little bit of work in the background, so we've got a bit more meatier stuff to work with next time. And I also am here on Mondays. Again, I won't be here on Monday the 22nd of June. Yeah, the 22nd of June. But apart from that, so I'm here this 15th of June, I'll be here onwards. And if you've got any particular graphy things you want me to have a look at, so if you've got any questions, or you say, hey, tell me a bit more about the browser guides or something like that, if there's something in particular, let me know. And what I'm going to be doing is, so this coming Monday, I'm going to have a look at This Week in Neo4j. I'm going to look at an article that captures my interest, and I'm going to go through that with you all on Monday. So to be notified of any streams that we're doing, just follow us on Twitch. If you don't have a Twitch account, if you're just watching as a guest, then just keep an eye out on Twitter. So the Neo4j account will sort of give you a heads up like an hour or so before if people are about to stream, and also if they're, so at the moment my colleagues Will Lyon, Adam Cowley and Michael Hunger are also doing regular streams, so if you sort of keep an eye on our Twitter accounts, we will let you know when we're going to go live. So apart from that, have a fantastic day. Thank you for joining me, and see you soon.